enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. So today we're back on Tardis. This is part 2 of the sill restoration. In the last part it was all about cleaning all the rust off the sills, treating them, we stone chipped them, primed them, ready for paint, and I'm glad to say on both sides there was no nasty rust or holes that we needed to worry about, and I think it was a really worthwhile job doing it because the paint had started coming off and peeling in certain areas, and if I left it, I'm sure within a couple of years time there would be holes in those sills. So it's a worthwhile job now, and by putting that stone chip protector on there as well, that will mean they last for a number of years, and obviously cavity waxing them as well will continue to protect them. So in this week's video, all we're going to be doing is really about just putting the body colour on them, so body colouring them so they don't look, I don't like the look of cars when they just have black chutes or stone chip on the sills. They should be body coloured, and they look right with body colour on them. So we're going to be doing that in today's video. You might have guessed by all the bits on my left hand side, I'm going to give a big shout out today to Paints For You. I've shouted them out before, and this video is not sponsored or anything like that, but the paint is just brilliant. I quite often get people asking me, how do you get such a good finish? Does it look as good in the flesh as it does on the videos? And it does, honestly. And the reason, there's a couple of reasons why I get such good finishes. Firstly, it's trial and error. I have made the mistakes over the years. I've bought cheap rattle cans from a place like Halford's. I've bought cheap spray cans. I've mixed the type of paint with the type of thinners, the different types of primers, and it always just reacts. It always goes wrong. Maybe I've not left it to dry enough in the past. Maybe it's been too cold to paint. So there's a huge amount of trial and error there, but the massive factor as well is having decent paint to begin with. This paint from Paints For You, I first started buying it for the Rover Cooper Sport 5. And I actually bought it. They do like a kit, a paint repair kit, a touch-up kit. And I bought one of them and I was just massively impressed. It comes with everything you need. The sandpaper, or the wet and dry, the rubbing compound, the primer, the base and the lacquer. And the paint match was spot on, which for a pearlescent colour is really surprising. And I just had no issues at all. It comes with instructions of how to use it, how long to wait between coats, and you follow that and you won't have any issues at all. I then used it on Project Sprout, which is almond green. Again, it was absolutely brilliant. So again, I've used it on Tardis, and again, they've knocked it out of the park. It's absolutely brilliant. Goes on, no issues, no blooming of the paint, no reactions. It goes on nicely. Certainly like the body colour, the pressure in the can remains constant right until you've run the can out. The nozzles on the can are brilliant. They give a nice fan. It's not as wide a fan as you would get from a professional spray gun, don't get me wrong. But it is a good sort of 4 to 5 inch fan, which is good for if you're doing small repair areas, things like the sills and that sort of thing. You know, if you're doing a bonnet or something like that, then you want a big wide fan because you don't want to take too many passes. But yeah, it's just brilliant, and it's always worked great for me. They do pretty much everything as well, so I've discovered more recently when I've gone on ordering them. So they do like etch primers, lacquers, plastic primers, normal primer, body colour in any colour you can think of. And if you're having trouble finding a colour, they know what they're talking about. They're real experts and they're really friendly. Just pick up the phone and speak to them. I get thinners from them, rubbing compound, masking tape, you name it. And as I say, normally, or I've had in the past where, and in fact, even recently when I was spraying the hubcaps, I was using Hammerite Satin Black and I was using a clear lacquer, and the lacquer was reacting with the Hammerite. But this Paints For You stuff, however I've mixed products together, I've never had a reaction. So anyway, like I say, not sponsored by them, but I did want to shout them out because it's really great stuff. Let's get into this week's video. And if you do need some paint, my recommendation would be to use Paints For You. Okay, so that's had a couple of coats of primer now over the stone chip, and we're ready for the colour coats now. I'm using a gloss colour, so there'll be no lacquer, just a single stage gloss, and we'll do about 3 coats of gloss. A light guide coat, a normal coat, and then the last coat will be quite a thick coat. Right, that's the first coat of gloss on. Just a light coat, but it's worth, when you're putting the first coat in, just to try and get in all the tricky areas. Do them areas first. And now we're just going to put on the second coat, which will be a little bit thicker, and then a third coat should do it. Right, so that's the finished article underneath, and as you'd have seen there at the end, I've just gone along with cavity wax and cavity waxed all up inside the flutes, and we've gone underneath and just done like where the brake pipes and fuel pipes and that run, and the battery cable. I'm really pleased with how that's come out. Good. I love things like it's even got the original plastic plug at the front there, at the back. I think it's meant to have one at the front as well, because there's another slinger bracket hole up there, but obviously it's missing. But no, it's looking pretty good. I'm pleased with that. Now, I'm sure you're probably all wondering, what's the other side like? Because typically the near side on the Mini is worse than the off side, because it's the side that gets splashed through all the puddles and that. But quite surprisingly, The near side is actually in better condition. Now we've got some crusty bits down the front here. I haven't put cure rust on it yet. Again, it's all solid, there's no holes. I did have to bash the floor pan down on this side because again it had been jacked stupidly. But the rest of the sill is absolutely spot on. There was hardly any rust at all on this side. It almost to the point I was considering whether it was worth doing. As you can see, that's bright shiny metal with only a few small areas where the rust is a little bit ingrained on the front of the flutes there. On the back I've left the seam sealer because it's perfectly rust free at the back there, and as I say, probably the worst bit is at the front here, but again it's solid, but that's the only bit where there was a little bit of kind of ingrained rust, but you couldn't poke a screwdriver or whack it with a hammer and make a hole. So I'm really pleased with that. I think that might be where we leave it on this video, because obviously I've not got the Cooper S videos now, so it's a bit of a challenge to do 2 weekly uploads. So I might get a little bit more, we'll see in a moment. Right, there we go. So I've done the other side. I never know how well this is going to come out on camera. It's dark blue, so I've got lots of lights in here, so there might be a lot reflecting off the lights. But I'm pretty pleased with that, it's come out well. I have blown in the bottom corner of that A panel there, just because there was a little scab at the bottom there, so the paint work looks awful on this side. Hopefully you can see that it's just in massive need of a really good mop. There's some sort of blooming in the paint down here. Yeah, it's just in need of a very, very good mop. When I've tried mopping other bits of the car, it's come out really well. So it's just loads of scratches and swirls in the paintwork. But the seals I'm really happy with. They look great. I've got to wax this side yet. So I'll do that in a bit, but they're looking good. Like I say, job well worth doing, I think. Even if you're not going to this length, it's worth getting underneath and just checking these flutes. These are open to the air, so these are what let the seals breathe. So why people say overseals are so bad is because they cover these flutes up. And this allows air to go in and equalise in the box section. Otherwise you get two differences in temperature between the inside of the box section and outside, and that's what creates condensation. So when you close off these flutes, that's why they just rot to pieces. Yeah, I hope this has been useful this week. I'm just looking on camera, the paintwork looks awful. The bottom looks much, much brighter now, but this is just because this has not been touched yet. Once this is polished and mopped, it will come up the same as that. I'm sure it will. But yeah, I hope this has been useful to you this week. If it was, remember to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. And now, onwards and upwards, I guess. I now need to, I want to get on with it. So over the next few days, hopefully I can just whip that subframe out, because I need to get the subframe sent off as quick as possible, because I'm relying on someone to powder coat the subframe. So that might take weeks. So the sooner I get that out, the sooner it can be sent off.